Hey guys, welcome to my assistive technology lesson. Today we're going to do a reading lesson for middle school students. It's a 7th grade lesson. My target students that I have with IEPs and goals, I have one student who is primary EBD and also has reading goals as a secondary target. My other student has similar reading goals and is visually impaired. So I'm going to be trying to incorporate some assistive technology to help each of those students, as well as some other things for the class as a whole. So we have been reading a book called Among the Hidden, which you see here by Margaret Peterson Haddix, and I chose this book for a few reasons. It's a science fiction book, and those kinds of stories are really popular these days, you know, with the Hunger Games and the Twilight. Kids are really into those, and it provides a lot of good questions, both on the surface questions, just simple, find it in the book and answer it, and also more philosophical, deeper questions about government, about family, about, you know, the roles that we play in our lives. Okay, so first we're going to hit the standard. I'm working with two computers here. This would obviously be some whiteboard or interactive whiteboard or projector. So I'm just kind of going to have to toggle back and forth. So hang in there with me. All right, that's not it. See? All right, there we go. There's our standard. And I shouldn't say dumb this down. Never say that. Jeez. I've put it into some kid-friendly terms. You know, the official standard I have in the LSLP, but this is how I would explain this to kids. And let me see if I can get the whole screen in there. Determine the meaning of new vocabulary words as they appear in a text. So we are going to read some of this book, look at some new vocabulary word, and learn some ways that we can figure out vocabulary and better our comprehension and reading accuracy. And we've gone over some of these things before, some strategies before, rereading, or using the key features of a text like headings or boldface. That's more sort of with nonfiction, but we have gone over some strategies. But today we're going to work on using questions as a way to better understand a reading. So first, as a little, what is that word? As a little attention getter, I like to do some trivia. Oh, that's on the same page. Look at that. So what I have here are a couple comprehension questions from the last reading that we did the day before or a couple days earlier, depending on what our schedule is like. And we start with a fairly easy one. What is the name given to third children? And in this book, the answer is Shadow Children. It's a series, and they're called Shadow Children. And so what I do here is children voluntarily answer, but answering earns you points that you can use to redeem different sorts of things, different sorts of rewards. And then the second question is a little deeper, and it says, why might a government want to limit the amount of children a family can have? So this lets students engage with the text, but forces them to be a little bit more critical in their thinking and come up with something that's not going to be found in the book itself. So after we've done that, then we're going to introduce the vocabulary for the upcoming reading that they're about to do in class. So what I have here, I picked out some words from the chapter, and then I give them a little primer. I give them the page it's on and the sentence in which it appears, and then the word that we're going to look at is in bold and red, or all caps and red. So this just gives them an idea of where they're going to see some words that I have picked out, but it's not going to limit them. They can find certainly words on their own in the text, but use some of the strategies that I'm about to model. So we would just go over the sentence, page 85. Luke looked back at the computer screen where rows of words were unfurling. So just to get them ready for the types of words that they might run across in the chapter. Now, I've given this to the students that have the reading comprehension goals, before class, or a day before, or 2 days before, and so they're prepared, a little more in advance for to see some of these words. Okay, so then I'm going to go into my spiel about how we can ask questions while we're reading to help us understand or comprehend what exactly is being said in the book. So I'm gonna read an excerpt from the book here that I found online. I don't have the book with me right now, so it's not going to be exactly where this lesson takes place as far as where in the book, but I will read a little passage and model how to ask questions when you're reading. Which one here? I'm going to turn this so I can read it. He had never disobeyed the order to hide. So right away, I don't know why he's been ordered to hide. So I'm questioning, why has he been ordered to hide? And why is it so serious that he's never disobeyed it? Even as a toddler, barely able to walk in the backyard's tall grass, he had somehow understood the fear in his mother's voice. But on this day, the day they began taking the woods away, he hesitated. Taking the woods away. What does that mean? I'm going to be looking in the rest of this chapter for references to the woods, or I'm going to have that in my mind as something I want to pay attention to. Who is taking the woods away, and why, and where is it? He took one extra breath of fresh air, scented with clover and honeysuckle, and coming from far away pine smoke. He laid his hoe down gently and savored one last moment of feeling warm soil beneath his bare feet. He reminded himself, I will never be allowed outside again. Maybe never again as long as I live. So that is a real teaser right there. Why can he never go outside again? Okay, so when you're reading this chapter or this section independently here, as we're about to do, I want you to be asking those types of questions. And I've given you a worksheet where you can write a couple questions down that you have in the chapter. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pair up, and you guys are going to have a conversation about the reading. What were some questions that you had while reading, and what were some new vocabulary words that you found that I may not have chosen? All right, now before we do that, we have our vocabulary prediction. And this is something that we use periodically as just a fun sort of pre-test for vocab words. I'm using those same words and some others that I previewed for them. And what I have is a sentence from the book and then a vocab word, and missing from the sentence is the vocab word. So the students have to predict which words they think are going to fit in each sentence. So that's sort of a pre-test, and then while they're reading they can check back and see if they predicted correctly or if they need to fix some. And also they can list new vocabulary words and questions that they have on the same worksheet, which then they'll share with their partner and I will collect at the end of class. Okay, so as far as my assistive tech and my accommodations, like I said, those two students, given the words ahead of time, the vocab words, also they have a speech pathologist who they work with and who's been working on this book with them, so she can help them with tricky words. Let's see, the EBD student really likes audiobooks. He does better independently when he's being read to, so we read aloud on Bookshare, and he can sort of manipulate with the text a little bit there. He can pause that and look up a word. And he can use, we've been using Snap and Read, which he can select any text on screen and have it read to him. So sometimes he prefers to read alone, but if he struggles or if he finds a part that he gets stuck on and he wants it read to him, he can just select that text on the screen and it'll read just that portion of the text for him. And then for the girl with visual impairment, we use a program called Zoom Text, which it does have just your basic zoom in on the text feature, but it also allows her to manipulate the text on the screen as well and stop, and it can be read audio to her as well. So those are some of the assistive technologies that I felt would be appropriate for this lesson, and I felt would work well with these students. And my 10 minutes is up, so thanks.